return again. This captivity ain't permanent, no. I'm from Jerusalem, hey, we'll return again. This captivity ain't permanent, no. Sitting on a that'll change my life. Should I?
Salama family, how y'all doing tonight? Please forgive us, had some technical difficulties. Y'all know how it is here on the continent. You know, when you bring in good stuff, stuff doesn't want to act right sometimes. But it's all good. We got it all worked out, and we have a great interview for you guys tonight.
Yeah, we do. You guys know that we have been researching many different countries here on the continent of Africa, because many of our brothers and sisters want to repatriate to the continent, which we completely understand. So we have people that are boots on the ground in different countries, and we're interviewing them for those who may be considering going to those countries. We know how important it is for our people to come with the right mindset, right attitude, and get to work, right? So today we have Lady Visionary, who's going to be joining us, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell you guys a little bit more about herself, and then we're going to go into the questions, okay?
Lady Visionary, thank you for coming on and being with us tonight. How are you over? All right, we're back. We're back.
Fantastic. So the last bit I heard was like, how
are Lady Visionary?
Yes, I'm good. So I'll introduce myself. So I'm Lady Visionary, currently in Rwanda, currently living in Rwanda. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me fine?
You're choppy again. Could you say something again? Let's see if it corrects.
Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
No, it's still very choppy.
Oh. I don't know why.
See, that's how I know it's going to be a good interview, because
I probably have to
still choppy.
I can switch over to another network if it's not working. I have to go out and come back, right?
Okay, we can't understand what you're saying.
You want to try to go out and come back
in? Yeah.
So wait, so everybody's saying they hear her, but chat, is she coming from? So if you guys heard her just fine, give us a 1.
Yeah, throw up a 1 if you heard her just fine.
Because on our end, it was really choppy. We couldn't hear. Can you guys hear us in the chat? Huh. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. So, but she's going to be coming back in a moment. So how are y'all doing tonight?
Yes. We hope all is well with all of you here. I don't see the thing for your signal anymore. You want to connect to mine? We're going to try and switch the internet really quickly to see if that clears it up, because on our end, everything is super choppy. So
all right. Well, I am glad to hear that all of you guys are doing well. Our people who are from Lady Visionary's YouTube channel who have come over to watch this interview tonight, thank you for check us out tonight. Once she logs back in, it's going to be a great interview. As my wife was saying, we're doing these interviews to help our people get information on different countries here on the continent. And it's not just about our people coming back to the, but the different countries that these people are making here on the continent, because that's what it's all about. It is not just coming back here to just hang out and relax, but to come back here and to build.
Yes.
You know,
that's definitely what it's all about. We noticed a lot of diaspora have been leaving, not just where we are here in Tanzania, but a lot of diaspora have been leaving and going back to the U.S.
Yes.
And the question remains, why? Mystery. I can't say mystery, but why go back to the U.S.? There are so many other African nations you can go to if you're not happy with one country, right? So
53 other countries.
53 other countries that you can go to if you're not happy with one country. So why are the diaspora leaving and going back to the U.S.? And I know a lot of people have said they've had a hard time when they got here, some issues with the government when they got here. I know just some things that we have experienced here on the continent. Not all of our people come here.
I don't know, Auntie. Auntie, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, there are a lot. Not everyone that comes here comes with the right intentions. Their mindset is not in the right place. Their hearts aren't in the right place. And so they're leaving and going back. They're having a hard time, not really because they can't stay here. It's a lot of people don't come with the right mindset, right? So they leave and they go back to the U.S. after a while. But you can stay here. And I think for some countries, a lot of reasons we have a hard time is because our people are not really putting work in. Our people are not really showing that, you know, we are beneficial to the continent, right? So Lady Visionary is back. Let's see if everything is cleared up.
Can you hear us?
Hello there, I'm back. Can you hear me? Really sorry about that. I had to change over my connection. Hopefully you can hear me loud and clearly now.
So wait, this is the funny part. So we could not hear you clearly, but everybody in the chat told us they heard you perfectly clear.
Right.
I don't know.
Because I'm supposed to be on a very good connection, so I was so confused why you guys couldn't hear me. But yeah, I switched over to backup. So okay.
So you can go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and, you know, where you are. Tell us all the goods right now.
Yeah, like where you came from, why you chose Rwanda, and what is life like in Rwanda?
Yes.
So hi everyone watching. Thank you so much to Stepping Stones to Home for having me on. I really appreciate that. So I'm Lady Visionary, but my real name is Kerry-Ann Masozera. I originated from Jamaica, and I left Jamaica when I was about 9 years old, actually, to relocate there with my dad. But when I arrived in England, I realized at 9 years old that this would only be a temporary home. One, because it was so freaking cold, and I think I realized that everything that was sold to me as a child about Europe, the UK, was all a lie. It was like made out to be this place of, you know, kind of like the Americas, milk and honey, you know. It was the best place to be, and I was excited to get there. But when I got there, I learnt the truth. So yes, I'm from the UK. I've been in the UK for about 20 years, and then it was an experience that I had. Like, I always knew I wanted to eventually leave. And then there was something I was watching on TV. I think I was about 15 years old, and it was just basically an advert that came on that was showcasing basically Africa and this child with the distended stomach and just flies everywhere. And I remember I was dancing around in my room, and then the advert comes on, and then I freeze, I pause, and I remember thinking in my head, I know there has to be a different story, but like my family didn't teach me about African history or Africa. None of my family have ever been to Africa. And I thought to myself in that moment, when I'm old enough, I'm going to go to Africa and find out the other side of this story. So fast forward now, I finished my undergraduate degree, and I'm planning behind the scenes, not telling my family, not telling my mom and dad that I'm actually going to Ghana, right? So I start planning 9 months in advance because I need to go and see another side of Africa, because what they've been showing us on TV is not the full picture. So I'm hiding. 2 weeks before now my trip to Ghana, I am basically like, right, I have to tell my parents. I cannot just go and not tell anyone. And so basically I said, you know what, let me go and tell my dad. And I told my dad that, Dad, I'm going to Africa, I'm going to Ghana. And he was like, what, are you crazy? Are you mad? What is going on? Who told you about Africa? Why do you want to go to Africa, right? And I'm like, okay, Dad, calm down, because it doesn't matter what you say, I'm going to Africa. And so he said, okay, all right, okay, all right, you'll go for 2 weeks and then you'll come back. And I'm like, no, I'm actually going for 3 months, you know? And then the panic started all over again. So I did end up going to Ghana, and that was 2010. And yeah, it was just really, my spirit just connected with Ghana. And, you know, I was in Accra, I went to the Brongafo region of Ghana, I learned a bit of Twi, I was building a school, I was working in the hospital. So it was really a fantastic 3 months that really connected me with the continent, the motherland, learning more about my identity. Because coming from Jamaica to the UK, in Jamaica, I didn't recognize that I was a Black girl, but in the UK, I recognized that I am Black, you know? And then I started to sort of, I really, like in my teenage years and above, I really started to kind of have this like whole identity crisis. The only thing I learned about Black people was in my history class, and it was just around slavery. And so going to Ghana was really an opportunity for me also to connect with my roots, and also just learn more about who I am as a person. And then from Ghana 2010, I kept going back to Ghana. Actually, I thought I was going to relocate to Ghana. And then I met my husband. Then it was 2014, I met my husband, and he was telling me about Rwanda. And I was like, Rwanda, okay, let's go and see, you know, this Rwanda. Like, you know, came here and met his parents, but I didn't want to just move to Rwanda because my husband is Rwandan. I wanted to move here because I felt that I had a purpose here. So I kept coming every year for a month, and, you know, just really connecting, seeing how the country is safe, that, you know, how the people are friendly, you know, and seeing where, like, just the governance, and also over time how that was developing from 2014 onwards. And I was just like, yeah, I could really see myself, you know, just immersing myself with the Rwandan people and helping them to develop the country. And so in 2019, I relocated to Rwanda and haven't looked back since.
Wow, that's amazing. That really is amazing. You know, that's amazing that you actually took the step to go and see how Africa was, that you actually had a desire to, because, you know, I hear both sides of the spectrum. I have heard people like yourself who say, you know, I said I wanted to go, I wanted to see Africa, I wanted to see for myself, but I was on the opposite end of the spectrum when I was growing up. Because of only knowing the US, I was like, I'm never going anywhere. I don't want to go to, not just Africa, I didn't want to go anywhere else. You know, I ain't know no better.
She didn't want to leave Florida. She didn't want to leave Florida when I met her.
You know, I kind of felt like, well, this is where all of my family is. I grew up here, and I just didn't want to leave. You know, my mind was so restricted, you know, But that's amazing that you had like this open mind, and you know, you guys, people like you, real brave, because I couldn't take that step up by myself. Oh no.
But Lady Visionary had a plan. She had a plan already.
You had a plan, you know, but you still came with no husband. I came over here with my husband.
Yeah.
So now, like we were sharing with our subscribers that, you know, we're doing these interviews with people who are in different countries just so that they will know about what it's like living in those countries, you know, being a diasporan, because I'm pretty sure you've experienced this also. Even though the people in Rwanda and even though the ones in Ghana, they look like us and we look like them, they still see us as different, you know. And so we like try to give people a perspective of, you know, what life is like in the different countries. So what I want to ask you is like, when you came with your husband, I know you came and his family already knew about you and everything, but what was it like your first time? Well, let's go back to Ghana first. When you went to Ghana and then tell us about Rwanda, how were you received by the people?
I think like in Ghana in general, like the people were very, very friendly. Like for me, what I took on was like, you know, they were like always smiling and just wanting, obviously they knew, even though I look like them, they somehow knew that this person is from another country, you know. And even for the kids, like they didn't really understand why I didn't speak their language and I was their color. So I had to explain to them that, you know, I wasn't born here, I'm not from here. And they were really, really very, very confused. Like, how is it that your skin is this color and you don't know our language, you know? And so it was a lot of explanation, but they really embraced us. But at some point, they were calling me a brony, which means a foreigner or a white person, you know? And so it was a lot of education, trying to educate them and things like that. But in general, the Ghanaian people really embraced me. When I was leaving Ghana after the 3 months, I was in tears because I just felt so loved. Like I stayed with, like, there was a particular host family that I was allocated to, and they were just amazing. They were helping me with the language. They were just so loving, so kind. They had so little, but they just wanted to share everything with me. The host mom was teaching me how to cook Ghanaian food, and I felt really at home with the Ghanaian people. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I felt really at home.
Wow. Okay. And how is Rwanda?
How were you received there?
Rwanda, that was interesting because I was coming to Rwanda to meet my husband, well, my boyfriend's parents at the time. And, you know, one of the challenges that people talk about here in Rwanda is that, you know, the main language being Kinyarwanda, and people kind of struggle with English here. So, you know, it would be the same sort of situation with my husband's family and his mom and dad. And, you know, I was a little bit nervous, but like for them, they really, you know, embraced me. And I was like, not surprised, because I guess I was a little bit surprised, or like, what's the word? I don't even know the word, but they were just, to be honest, they were really welcoming. The Rwandan people were really welcoming. But again, like Ghana, you know, somehow they recognize that, yes, you're black, but where are you coming from? Which country? They'd ask you, which country are you coming from? You know, so, you know, they're very kind of curious. They ask those questions, where are you coming from? But in general, like, you know, again, very welcoming, very, very welcoming. And I felt really at home, apart from the questions, like every now and then people ask you, which country are you coming from? You're not from here. Where are you coming from? You know, but I guess they're also just curious, you know, and in Rwanda, I think a lot of people have spoken about that, how it's not that Rwandans, like, they mean anything by it, but like they do stare a lot, or they do look at you a lot. And it's just out of curiosity, because obviously they recognize that there's a difference, and they're trying to think, like, is she Rwandese who doesn't know the language? You know, they are not that a lot of people are not that exposed, so they don't do that to kind of like, some people when you're staring at them it could be like, you know, you're being rude, but they're not doing that to be rude. It's more out of curiosity and wanting to know, and then the language barrier doesn't allow you to make that connection sometimes.
Right. So maybe that's like a continental thing, or maybe a East African thing, because they do that here in Tanzania as well. The staring.
Yeah.
When we first,
so I mean, quite a few number of people have spoken about that the staring, which can make you feel kind of uncomfortable, because like coming from Jamaica where I was born, you know, like Jamaicans do not like you. Like we could just be like, you know, all fist out, you know, but I understand the differences in culture and history, and you know, it's just mainly out of curiosity and wanting to know. But again, that language barrier, you know, hinders that communication.
Yeah, we went through a lot of that here when we first got to Tanzania back in 2021. I remember getting off the plane and going.
Sorry, I don't know if I was cutting out there. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
All right. So in 2021, when we arrived, came to the airport here in Tanzania, and we're standing at immigration, and they tell me to go to one officer, and my wife is at the other one, and he starts giving my wife a hard time because he looks at her American passport and he keeps telling her, "Where are you really from?" She's like, I'm from America. And he's like, "No, where are you really from?" And she's like, "I'm from America."
He didn't believe me. He actually started speaking to me in Kiswahili, and I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying. And he thought I was lying. He said, "No, you're Tanzanian." I'm like, I'm not. I was born in America.
For her, everybody here thinks she's original Tanzanian.
Even the people in our neighborhood, when we walk around, what did they tell you one day?
They told me, where's your Tanzanian wife? So because they'll be trying to, you know, they would try to talk to me, and I would say a little bit of Swahili I know, and they thinking she's fluent because they think she's Tanzanian. So I'm like, no, we're both from America. We actually got pulled over one time, and the police said to me, "You look like me, but you don't, and your skin is like us, but you don't sound like us."
Oh wow. Yes. So you know, they're as I said, curious, and also like I think because maybe you look Tanzanian, so they're like they start like even with me in Rwanda sometimes they start speaking Kinyarwanda, and I'm looking at them like no. And then they realize, but sometimes like if I'm with my husband, obviously he's Rwandan, he speaks Kinyarwanda, and like they will be saying like, "Oh, she's a Rwandan, but she doesn't want to speak our language," you know, and my husband has to be like, no, she's not Rwandese, like she is Jamaican and she doesn't understand Kinyarwanda. And they're like, "Is this guy fooling with us?" You know, so it's really out of curiosity, the stare and wanting to know. And when my husband's like, she's not Rwandan, they're like, this guy is lying, you know. So we do get that a lot as well.
Right. So we love to showcase what our people as the diaspora are doing here on the continent. We know that you have a lot of things going on over in Rwanda right now. So please let our viewers know about all the things that you have going on in Rwanda.
Yeah, so for us, prior to coming to Rwanda, there was a lot of planning that involved that went into the process before coming to Rwanda, because you know, we didn't want to be in a situation where we get to Rwanda and you know we can't sustain ourselves. So we had to think about a business plan, how we were going to sustain ourselves, because it's me, my husband, and also we have 2 young kids. My son just turned 5 on the 6th of January, and I have also a 3-year-old. And for us, it was like we did not want to move here and then because of finances and struggles, we would eventually just run back to Europe. And for me, I said, like, I found my purpose. After going to Ghana, I found my purpose. I knew that my purpose was in Africa. Wherever, my ancestors led me to, that's where I was going to be. That's where I was going to settle. And I knew that I did not want to go back to the West. I did not want to go back to the UK, back to Europe, And so we came with a plan. And so basically we started to buy some land for building a glam site, building a hotel. So we started the hotel around June 2021. And then we launched July 13th, 2022. So we've been operating now for about 5 months. So far, we've been well received. We've been getting real good feedback. So, that's one way we're trying to sustain ourselves, by having our hotel project. We started now with, this is phase one. Phase one of 3 phases, year 1 of 5 years. So it's a 5-year project. When you're coming to Africa, you really have to, sometimes you want things to be done so quickly, but the processes here are a lot more slower than we're used to, maybe in the Americas or in Europe. The processes can be slower. You have to exercise a level of patience. Like, I find myself that I have a level of patience I never even knew I had. There's some days where you be frustrated. No, seriously, you'll be so frustrated because, something that should take 3 months or 6 weeks is taking you 6 months or 9 weeks to a year. So we've just been really fortunate. We've just, like, my husband actually has been, even though we had some savings, it still wasn't enough. So my husband has been helping to sustain us by going back and coming here, and going back and coming here. That wasn't the plan, but that's the way we've had to kind of work it out. So, because I'm like, no, for me, I cannot go back to the West. That's it for me. I'm here to stay, right? So he was like, okay, I'll go back, channel some money through, and then you just continue to build the hotel. And then finally we got to that stage where, phase 1 is complete and we're receiving visitors. I'd love for more of the diaspora to, support me with what I'm doing, because a lot of my guests are from, like, the Europes and so on and so forth. So 95% of my guests are from Europe, and the other sort of 5% are Rwandans and a few diasporans. So I'd love for more of our own to support me. If you're coming to Rwanda and you want something unique, a unique experience, glamping, or, we have cottages for those people who don't want to glamp, so you can relax in a beautiful cottage of ours, relax on the lake. It's got panoramic lake views. You can, we also have the concept of farm to table. So I have a farm where, the produce from the farm gets to the kitchen, and, we grow our own potatoes, our own beans, our vegetables, and so on. And then we serve that at our restaurants. We have a Caribbean menu, which the famous thing that people love to order is our jerk chicken, which has been well received by so many people. It's so tasty. So far I've been receiving every guest that come to the hotel until, we sort out our management and we get the right people in place. I've been there every single booking. So yeah, it's really been something to help us, sustain ourselves whilst we're here. But also, one of the great things about the hotel is that it also impacts the community. We've decided, myself and my husband, to go remote because everybody's going to Kigali. Kigali is the city of Rwanda. And I'm like, why go to the city where, development is happening and opportunities? There's lots of opportunities, but when you go to the remote parts of Rwanda, there's a lack of infrastructure, lack of resources and things like that. And the people in those areas are more vulnerable. So me bringing my business into those remote areas means that I can provide jobs for the community. You know, when they have jobs, they're able to put better food on the table. They're able to fund education, and they're able to start up some of their own businesses. These are some of the things that my business has been able to make an impact on that scale, to transform lives. So by me taking my business into a remote area, but somewhere that's really beautiful, that also is needed by the local people. And it's also been recognized in Rwanda, because local government has called me up and said, you know, Lady Visionary, or, you know, some people do know me here as Lady Visionary. What you and your husband have done have really helped our community, really engaging the community so that they don't take part in crime, really engaging the community that they can start up their own little small businesses, engaging the community that they can now pay for their own health insurance and things like that. So it has, my business have been making a tremendous impact in this remote village that we've decided to invest in. We also have the Masozera Farm Initiative, and this is where we give goats and sheep to local people from low socioeconomic groups. So those people who are identified in villages as being vulnerable, we give them female goats, female sheep, so that they can reproduce, they can sell, they can develop them and bring them to the market and sell them and increase their income. We also give the community cows, so female cows. These are families who have children who are malnutritioned, who, you know, need that extra bit of support. So the milk, obviously, you have calcium, and the calcium helps with also the strengthening of the bones and absorption of the nutrients that these children will eat. You know, our manure from our farm, we give that to the community so that the community can have better produce. So the community is coming to us and saying, you know, my produce, we were getting bad quality produce, but now with your manure, we are able to produce this. And they come and they show us their produce and how, you know, they're able to bring better quality produce to the market. So our work has been really impactful on a scale that maybe I didn't even realize, because even when we were doing, you know, we were building our hotel and we were helping the community, I don't think I wanted to impact on a significant level, but I thought I was doing very little, realizing that actually with the little that I was doing, it was making such a big impact. So that was really a motivator to just continue, you know, the good works that I'm doing. And you know, just, you know, the people appreciate it. They really, really do. So that's the Masozera Farm Initiative, which also my subscribers helped me with. So I was asking subscribers to support the community by donating a goat or donating a sheep, and actually going to the market and buying those goats and, you know, filming the process and actually handing over these goats to the community. And you had people from the community coming in and saying, well, I need a goat, I haven't had a goat. And I'll be like, you know, there was a high demand. But yeah, that's something that we're still working on. It's something that we're still working on. And as I said, we also try to transform the village, especially the children, through our nutritional program by providing them cows and milk from the cows. And then more recently, I know I'm talking so much, sorry. Hopefully it's not too much and boring you guys. But more recently, I launched the first Black library. Well, I'm going to launch. So I'm working on opening the first Black library in Rwanda, specifically in the northern province of Rwanda. So in this library, we will be, it's all about Black history, learning more about our history, our identity, and also having Black representation, because I think it's also something that a lot of us in the West struggle with, but also I'm finding that it is also an issue on the continent as well, just in terms of how people relate to each other from different statuses, the respect, and, you know, how we value each other. And also there's an issue around us not reading enough. And is it Nelson Mandela says, what is that quote? What is that quote by Nelson Mandela? It's not coming to me. Education is the most powerful tool that can change the world. So, it's a small project that I'm starting, and I have been trying to mobilize for help because we've been trying to renovate the building and also buy books and things like that. So we're still needing support. I've had local Rwandans, young people come to me and say, you know what, I'm not asking for any money. I just want to volunteer the skills that I have. And that has been really kind of mind-blowing and just really, really supportive in terms of reaching the goal of launching the library. So I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait to see the possibilities that will come because of it.
Wow. So you have a lot on your plate, and that's amazing. It's so amazing. That's awesome. And I think you said a key thing, patience. And coming to the continent will really teach you what patience really is. But it's really awesome that you have all these projects going on. We never realize how much we impact our community, right? By just the little things that we do. And we don't realize how it just spirals down. It spirals downwards to the next person. Like you said, by you guys providing jobs or cow or goat is actually helping the people to bring in income for their households and for them to be able to establish something for themselves so they can start building finances and wealth for their families. And that's something that we need to do as a diaspora. It's not just about us coming and starting businesses just to benefit ourselves, but the reason it's very important for us to start businesses is because, like what you're saying, when we do that, we can provide the jobs. We can provide resources that they don't have as of yet. And it helps them, even the ones that work in our businesses, it helps them to learn how to run businesses, how to manage businesses and everything. So it provides them with valuable skills for when their time comes in the future or whatever to open up an establishment of their own. So that's very powerful. And also, what you're saying, how the government now, they have reached out to you, by the things that you're doing in the community. Now the government is reaching out to you. And that's something, when we were having some difficulties earlier, I was talking about one of the reasons I think our people have a difficult time on the continent is because they're not working, or they do something that literally only benefits themselves. Really, it really doesn't benefit, anybody in the community. But the governments here in Africa, we hear a lot of them saying, oh, come back home. We want the diaspora to come back home because they have valuable skills, valuable knowledge. And we do. We have a plethora of it. We built all these other nations. However, yes, when we come here, we have to come with the mindset that you and your husband had. Come here and let us do something to build, to help the community. Because it's just terrible to me when I see diaspora who come here and it's like they just close their eyes. They don't even really care. And to me, it's like, how in the world could you not really care and say, you know what can I do to help here? What can I do to help the people here, help the community here? But it's when we do those things, when the government sees us building things for the community, providing, like you said, the food, the resources, the jobs for the community, then they can say, hey, you know what? These diaspora is not what some people have told us they are. They're really here to help and to benefit our people. They're not like the other nations that are coming in and taking up resources and everything and sending it back to their countries. They're building here. They're building businesses here. They're making the money here, but it's going right back into the country. And that's what they want to see, because all of these countries need to be built up. It doesn't, even South Africa still needs to be built. I know a lot of people rave about, South Africa, but they only see the nice cities.
They see Johannesburg.
They see Durban, they see Cape Town, but go outside of that. Okay,
Yes.
go look outside of those cities and see how many people, even in South Africa, still need help.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
so those are things, the areas where the diaspora comes in. We need to be doing what you're doing, building things that benefit the community. And that's
Yes.
how, when we do those things, we bring both our African brothers and sisters in the diaspora together, so where we had those, strange little fine lines of communication or whatever, it makes us it gets us together so that we can understand each other.
Right.
And
also the little things, like you said, giving a goat, giving a cow. Now, a lot of people, that are watching us in these countries, they're like, man, buying cows, that's got to be expensive. They don't cost that much here in Africa, and it's a small gesture for us to give a cow, to give a goat, to give some chickens, because when you give a family some chickens, they're going to have eggs, they're going to have chicken to eat,
Exactly.
It's a small gesture, because look, we understand not all of us have a whole bunch of money, but if we have a plan, we can still do some things that can impact our community. Like you said, you give goats to some people, you give cows to some people, but you give them that in a way that it's kind of like we talk about, you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, but if you teach a man to fish, he'll eat forever. So it's the same thing. I can give you some cut up goat, and you can make some curry goat, but if I give you a goat that can produce more, then you'll always have some curry goat to eat.
Yes, exactly. So that's the that's the method that we're using here. We really don't want to create that dependency. As I said, like people that have worked for us during the time of construction, who we've had to kind of as the construction comes to an end, obviously you have to lay off people, but they've been able to use that money to start their own like farm businesses and things like that have really changed their level of income and changed their overall lifestyle. So it really has been impactful. I also didn't talk about the Masozera water project, which is bringing clean, fresh water to the village, which my hotel is at. So we're currently also fundraising for that as well, because at the moment the local people, they drink the water, the contaminated lake water. So the plan is to pipe up the spring water and be able to disseminate that to every household in that village, Buhembe village, so they will have clean drinkable water for the first time. So we're still working on that project. We're still also looking for support, donations and things like that. So yes, there are quite a lot of things that we're doing, but the diaspora, we have collectively, we can do a lot. Even with the little that we have, we can do a lot. If we think about, or if we look at the statistics about how we, the Black diaspora, we spend money, in a wasteful way, surely we can channel that money for the greater good in Africa when you're coming. So it's also a mindset thing, just the little that I've been able to disseminate into local villages have made a tremendous impact. And I didn't realize the scale of the multitude of that. And that's been recognized by, as I said, not just local government, but the local people themselves. And even for them, they're a bit confused. They're like, so there was someone who said to me, like, you and your husband, you've come here to this village, you don't know the place, and you guys have such good hearts, and so hopefully what we're doing will also have a domino effect. And I say to people, as we have helped you and you have moved up a level, don't forget the other people that's behind you and need your help. And I also didn't talk about another program which I do, is we support young women that I see that have potential. So far I've sent 3 women to university and 1 male, just supporting them. And I've also used my channel to help to mobilize the school fees. And one of one of the girls on our program, she's now in her second year. That was the first young person we sponsored, and she's doing well. And as I said, I did mobilize support through my channel to be able to help her with her school fees. And all of them now have like have a small job on the side that they study and they work and they go to school. And so I gave them that start, but also I told them that, look, I don't want you to have that dependency. As I've helped you to start, you should also have a small job that can help you pay your fees. I will help when I can, but I want you to also put in the work. And they have been making me so, so proud. I can't, like, seriously, I can't put words to it, but it's been really amazing. Even yesterday, I went out in my city, Musanze, and a local Rwandan saw me and he said, hi, Lady Visionary. They know me as Lady Visionary here. And I was like, hi, how you doing? Everything's fine. And he was just like, you know, I've watched your videos and your videos have helped me to develop my business. And I'm like, what? You know, I've been able to make more money because I've watched your video. And I'm like, what? And he's like, you know, a lot of people in this city know you, Lady Visionary. And I'm like, what? And you know, just recognizing basically that my work has been impactful, not just in the village that I'm working in, but you know, every day people are coming up to me and telling me how transformational my videos have been, even for Rwandans themselves. And so I'm really encouraged to just keep on going, because it's not easy putting videos together and working on all the projects that I'm working on. But you know, earlier on you spoke and you were saying that, you know, there's some people who come to the continent and, you know, just to help another person, just, you know, just something little. But I think it just comes back to purpose. And yes, my purpose is to build businesses and be sustainable for my family and so on. But one of my main purpose as well is to be impactful and give the best of me to the continent and the people. And that's I'm living out my purpose, and nothing feels greater than that, you know. So you really have to know your why as to why you're here. And for me, I found purpose, so it's easy for me to do the things that I do.
Gotcha. That's definitely. And I like what you said about when we do these things, it helps the countries to be less dependent on other nations. And I think that is the number one goal. If we don't like being in these other nations, surely we know that we don't want to be in a nation that forever will be under the control of these same nations that we're running from. So it's important for us to do what we can, so that, you know, these African countries will no longer have to be dependent on these other nations. Because I know that's a problem that we've heard recently about, well, I'm not going to get into it, but just something that we heard recently is because of the dependency that the nations have on European nations and Asian nations, that their hands are tied, especially when it comes down to the diaspora. Their hands are tied where they can't really do what they want because of being dependent. So if we can come in here and create and build, you know, have manufacturing and all sorts of things that's going to now put into the economy to help pump the economy, where they can be like, hey, kick rocks, like we don't need you.
Yeah. No, I think, yes, definitely the diaspora can play a big role in that. We, you know, there's so many of us from the diaspora collectively, you know, we have money, we can really make things happen. We can bring our skills, and it's just about coming with the mindset that, you know, I can do this. It will be a challenge, but I can do this. And you know, as we spoke about patience, you really have to be patient, but also you will find that, you know, with patience as well, it also changes your mindset, it changes your quality of life. But yeah, I mean, there's so much we can offer. There's so many opportunities that, you know, the diaspora can get involved in. And it's just about being 100% committed and seeing it through to the end. Because I won't say that I haven't faced tremendous challenges where I'm just like, oh my God, this is a lot. I have faced challenges that, you know, have been like off-putting. But if it wasn't for my drive and determination, my patience, I wouldn't be here where I am right now with regards to, I've launched my hotel, you know, the programs I'm doing with the community, about to launch the first Black library in Rwanda, you know, being able to impact Rwandans, that they can start their own businesses and believe more in themselves. And also the program that I'm doing to send young people to universities that I see that have that potential. So there's so much that you can do here. And as I said, you just have to be, your heart has to be in it, one. You must not be in it only for the money. Otherwise, you will come and you will just go, right? Because sometimes money is not so easy to get. And Rwanda is one of those countries where money is not so easy to get. But if you have a passion for what you're doing here, then things will really work out for you. So you have to have the passion and drive and be committed and not just be in it for the money. Because if you're just in it for the money, it won't, it won't go well for you.
Right. So I just want to ask really quick, just kind of going off topic here, but for those diasporan who may want to relocate to Rwanda, how easy is it to relocate to Rwanda, start a business in Rwanda? Is there like a huge fee that you have to pay or prove that you have a certain amount of money? And I'm asking these questions because what we are finding in several of the African countries, if you're not retiring, some of them require you to prove that you have
in the bank,
right, in the bank, 100 or more thousand USD equivalent before allowing you to start a business. So how easy is it to relocate to Rwanda for a diasporan?
Rwanda has recognized that a lot of diasporans now, increasing number of diasporans are choosing to relocate or to the continent, or specifically to Rwanda. So they are supportive, and there are systems in place to support the diaspora returning home. I guess also Rwanda is looking for particular types of people who, yes, people who want to retire, but people who also want to come to invest and develop the country, because, you know, if you know Rwanda, they are very much sort of vision focused in terms of let's set goals for the future and let's take steps towards achieving those goals. So it's very prominent here, it's very visible here. And I started coming to Rwanda since 2014, and every year I could see how the country was transforming, and how that was also transforming the lives of the Rwandan people. So yes, Rwanda is looking for a certain type of people. If you're willing to invest, then you know, you basically can come in for 3 months and do like your evaluation or assessment, work, sort of figuring out what business ideas that you want to undertake. So they'll give you kind of 3 months to do that, a 3-month visa, but then also you can extend that to 6 months if you need a bit more time. So basically you can come into Rwanda, even the first day you come into Rwanda, you can register your business and have your certificate within less than 24 hours. Initially you can get that 3 months visa. After 3 months, so immigration will probably come in to see what you've been doing, assess what you've been doing, and then you may get like a year or 2 years, depending, right? And then after that, you have to demonstrate that your business is progressing, or you're making progress here in Rwanda, and they can extend your visa and so on. But also it's like, for them, it's a requirement, like after about 8 to 10 years, then you can apply for your citizenship here. Or is it 10 years? I believe it's 10 years. People are coming in and they want to buy land. So what they're asking you, if you want to invest in land, then you have to apply. You have to apply for an investment certificate. So the investment certificate must be basically the process is that you submit a business plan, a 5-year business plan with cash flow, and be able to demonstrate why your business would be beneficial to Rwanda and how that would be sustainable. So you have to demonstrate that in your business plan. You pay 500 US dollars, and then you can also submit this through the Rwanda Development Board website, so that you can obtain your certificate that will allow you to buy land for business purposes and also residential purposes as well. But they also have retirement visas, or there's a visa basically just before retirement, sorry. There's a visa that you can apply for if you're a US citizen that gives you 10 years. But every 6 months, the only disadvantage with this visa, I think, not for all, but that you have to leave the country every 6 months, right? And then you do have the retirement visa, which allows you to reside here in Rwanda. But yes, there's certain things that you have to be able to demonstrate. For example, you have to be able to show that your pension is coming into a Rwanda bank account of yours, and that it will sustain you for any given period. So you have to be able to demonstrate that. And also, a lot of the times now, Rwanda, the applications are requiring you that you have a criminal background check, and you have to have the paperwork done. So people who are coming for business purposes, for example, more than likely you're going to need that criminal check. So it's better that you get that done prior to coming, because it is quite difficult once you're on the ground and finding out, actually, I need the criminal check. Then you may have to, the process is quite difficult, or you may have to travel back to where you're coming from to get that police record. So I would say that if you're definitely sure about what you want to do, travel to Rwanda with a criminal background check, your criminal background check record, so that it doesn't become complicated once you're on the ground, because more than likely in all applications they need that information.
Okay, now when you say you have to show a pension coming into a Rwandan account, do you know it can be a pension where it goes into the US bank, but then you have it transferred into the Rwandan account, or does it have to be straight from whoever is issuing the pension to the Rwandan account,
So as long as, I think they were asking, actually, because my friend was applying, and they said they wanted to see the direct money coming from the pension there directly into the bank account here.
Okay. And we did see someone said something about Rwanda has a digital nomad visa. Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't know anything about that at the moment, but you can Google or go onto the Rwanda immigration website, because I know they've updated their website more recently. So it's something that you can probably check out as well, the Rwanda immigration website directly. And they're quite good, because they've listed all the requirements on their website as to what's needed, depending on which visa type you want to apply for. So it details that as well. Yeah.
Gotcha. And for any of our viewers,
that is the Rwanda immigration website.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say.
What was that question?
Oh, no, I was just letting our viewers know, if anybody wanted to know what a digital nomad visa is, it's something that the African countries have come out with, certain countries, not all of them, to where if you make money online, or if you have a business back in the country that you originated from, and you are making a certain amount, then you are allowed to stay in that country for a certain amount of time, and you can renew that visa. So if it's for 6 months, you can renew it. You don't have to leave the country, but you can renew the visa as long as you show that you're making. Some countries it's $2,000 a month, some it's a little more, but some a little less. It just allows you to stay in the country as long as you can prove you have money coming in to sustain you. Now, speaking of money to sustain you, you have a family of 4, you, your husband, and the 2 children. So for our viewers, what would you say your average cost of living for a family of 4 is in Rwanda?
So we don't live in the city Kigali because when I've looked at the trends and sort of how Rwanda or Kigali is growing, Kigali, I know that it has become more expensive, and it will become more expensive as even more diasporans and so on are coming in. Same like I think Ghana as well. So in Kigali, for example, you know, you could easily spend like $2,000 for a family of 4 for the monthly living costs. But in Musanze, that is cut into half. So that would be like $1,000. So, you know, looking at that and not wanting to sink, we decided also to come to the north where things are less expensive. Because Kigali city is expensive and it's becoming more expensive. And that's been recognized also by diasporans who are living there.
Gotcha.
Okay, so someone in the chat asked if they would accept a background check from one of the companies that offers background checks online.
Yeah, so they will do that, because even for me, I did mine online and then got it sent to me here in Rwanda. Yeah.
Okay.
And they did accept that. So yeah, they will accept it.
Okay.
Okay. So Rwanda is not super expensive to get a business up and going there, because I know here in Tanzania, it's not. I don't want to say it's super expensive, but it can be expensive to start a business here in Tanzania, because I know for the average business, this doesn't include your building or anything, supplies, anything to get your business off the ground. Literally just for your business license, your residency, your work permits, just for the 2 of us. How much? Well, I'm not even on the business, it's just my husband. We paid over close to $5,000 because you have to go through a lawyer.
Wow.
So it was close to $5,000 we had to pay, and that's just so you can proceed with running the business, starting the business.
Yeah, getting permission.
Right, the permission and everything. So that's definitely reasonable when it comes down to it, and the time frame that they give you, that you can basically hit the ground running if you wanted to in Rwanda. So that's great to know that it's easy to get it started. It's not going to be much money, and they have already shown that they're welcoming of the diaspora. I know a while ago when we were still in the States, we saw a video from Unapologetic Nomads. Was it their video? I believe it was. And all of them were able to go and speak with the government, different diaspora who were in the country. They were able to go and speak with the government, and the government told them, we're not going to make you guys leave. You know, they welcomed them there in the country. So that was awesome to see for Rwanda, because we don't see the red carpet being rolled out for the diaspora with many of the African nations. We have a few, but most of them, we don't see that happening. And I'll say yet, because I believe it's going to start happening more in other countries. Right. So it is good to know that Rwanda is a country that is open. The government is open and welcoming to the diaspora. They've actually made statements of how they are they're welcoming to the diaspora. Because those are countries that you kind of want to look out for when you're considering a country to relocate to. It's good to know which ones actually already have things set in place for us. because you're definitely going to have an easier transition when you go to a country like that here on the continent. So someone asked a question about vaccines. What are the vaccination requirements for Rwanda?
For visiting also, with
There's
the test and everything.
Yeah, as of right now, I mean, it's been a long time since I've looked at RBC's website because, yeah, they weren't now asking for obviously for you to be vaccinated against COVID. So there's currently no requirements for you to be vaccinated. It's not compulsory for you to be vaccinated to be able to visit Rwanda or be able to set up a business or anything like that. It's not a requirement. So be rest assured for those of you who are thinking about coming to Rwanda, there's no requirements for you to be vaccinated.
But you do have to take, are they still asking for proof of a negative COVID test to come there from what you know?
No, they were even like when you were going into like restaurants and supermarkets and open markets, they were, but thankfully, yes, they have dropped all of those mandates. And, things are a lot better for us because it was tough. It was real tough.
I believe.
Okay, yeah, because I know Rwanda, like, they really shut down during the height of the pandemic. We were seeing pictures of Rwanda, and it was like nobody on the street.
Right. It was literally like we had curfews, like we had 7 o'clock curfews or 8 o'clock curfews, I can't remember now, and people would be like speeding to get home. Like it was crazy. Like our president does not play, like you gotta be on your best behavior.
So I guess Rwandans are they're really good people as far as obeying the laws. I ain't gonna lie, here in Tanzania, these people be like kick rocks. I don't care what you say. Like they but I don't know if it's because it's so many people in Tanzania, it's kind of hard for them to social distance. Like you have about 7 million people living in one of the smallest regions. And so I know it's very difficult when you have that many people to actually separate from each other, especially when the people's way of life here is literally the market. So it's like if you tell them to social distance, you're taking away their only way to survive. And then by telling them to wear a mask, well, I know Rwanda, the climate is cooler. Here it's hot.
You get a suntan.
Yeah, just keep going.
So you might not want to tell people to put on a mask all day.
Yeah, obviously, yes. Here in Rwanda, the law with regards to many things is very, very strict. Yes, a lot of Rwandans follow the law, or people may say are more obedient, but we still get people in the prisons because they disobey or they do something that they're not supposed to do. But in general, people really follow the rules here. People stop at zebra crossing and traffic lights and things like that. So there's systems in place to really get the country in order. Which I think is very much needed. That strictness for me is one of the reasons why I'm here in Rwanda. Those laws and things that are in place allow the country to be safe and to run in a way that is livable. For us, especially as diasporans, we need that level of order. And so even the progress that we're seeing in Rwanda is largely attributed to law and order and systems being in place, because you can go to a country and you ask for a policy or a process of how to do this and that. You can't find it. It will take you months and months. Whereas like in Rwanda, within a couple of days, you'll find out the process that you need in order to achieve something. So it's things are in place that just help things move a lot quicker. I'm not saying that you don't have your challenges, as it says, when there are things that needs to be done. Maybe they can be done in 6 weeks, but obviously it takes 3 months. But the processes are there for us to follow, and that really helps the country to develop, because they're very goal orientated. Okay, what do we need to achieve this year? What do we need to achieve that year? You know, so that's how Rwanda works. So and I think when you just think about it, if we had a lot more law and order in our lives, we would be achieving so many different things, you know. So you know, if you think about it on an individual level, and now you're thinking about it on a larger scale, being Rwanda. So some people are like, oh my God, Rwanda is so strict. But if we were more strict with our life and our routine and our habits, then we could be taken to great heights. But a lot of us, we don't want to do that. Change is not something that we take well to our system. So we want to do whatever we want, you know, and doing whatever you want is not always the best way. So yeah, so here in Rwanda, we're a little bit more strict. Yeah.
I completely agree, and I understand, because I'm not gonna lie, I will be very thankful when we have more order here in Tanzania. I'm thankful that they're getting things in place, but like road rules being enforced, I definitely will appreciate that, because we come from places where we have rules. So I know some people were like, oh, how strict they were, you know, during the pandemic and everything. But where we come from, there are a lot of rules, and they're strict in implementing those rules and everything. And we were able to live just fine. And we learned how to follow those rules. And not every rule is bad, you know. We learned that as children. But we have another question on the screen here, and they asked about buying property. Is the land lease 50 years, or do you outright own the land?
No, now it used to be 49 years for diasporans, for foreigners, and now and recently as they changed it, it's up to 99 years. It's up to 99 years. Excuse me, the lease is up to 99 years, but can be transferred generation to generation, providing you pay or keep up on your taxes. Excuse me.
Okay.
Okay, that's and what do you know the tax percentage there for land?
It really depends. Like right now, like agricultural land, you don't pay any taxes. But it depends, it depends on which area you're in. Like, for example, Kigali right now, it's like 80 cents per, like certain parts of Kigali, for example, is 80 cents per square meter. So you pay that on a yearly basis. So yeah, so like one plot that I have is not a very big plot. I pay like $60 per year, but I know it's gone up now to like $80 per year or something like that. Yeah.
Well, that's not bad.
So it's not bad at all, no. But yeah, it depends on the area where you are, the square meters. So it's yeah.
Yeah. So I have a quick question for you. I see someone asked the question in the chat. They were just curious. Most of us heard about Rwanda because of the genocide. You know, when it comes to Africa, we always hear about the bad things. Over here, they don't really want to talk about the good things that go on. But, you know, that wasn't most of us were alive when this happened. You know, I know you're young, you know, you're not old like us, but, you know, a lot of us were alive when this happened. But what is the relationship like amongst the people there from what you see, like between Rwanda and the Tutsi relationship there, if I'm saying their name correct?
So, you know, here in Rwanda, the government promotes, you know, is trying to discourage tribalism, I guess, and more to encourage people to be one people and for everybody to be Rwandans, right? They're all Rwandans. But also there has been an ongoing process post-genocide of reconciliation between the people. And so that has allowed the people to live more in harmony, but also the process is ongoing. And there's also opportunities for people to learn more, especially like in the North, there is like a reconciliation center for people to learn more about, I guess, the genocide and how to reconciliate, and how Rwandans have gone through that process of reconciliation and are able to live in harmony despite the horrific crimes that had happened in the 1994 genocide.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing, you know, because a lot of times you don't hear about the government trying to, you know what, let's fix this situation, let's bring the people together. You know, they'll just kind of try to brush it under the rug, like, you know, that was then, let's leave it there. But I'm really glad to hear that they're, you know, saying, no, we're one people and we need to heal together. That's great.
Right. And
yeah, so that's definitely yeah.
I was gonna say, I think that's awesome also, but I think as economies grow, as countries grow, and we get a bit more busy, I think that's where sometimes we let things go also, because, you know, it's like, I don't have time to deal with this anymore. But when you don't have anything to really do, you're not in a place where everybody has a job or a business or anything like that, it's kind of easy for some people to continue to hold on and maybe want to plot. I'm not saying anybody is, but that's one of the benefits of when a country begins to develop and grow.
So that's been, I guess, what you're saying, that's been one of the contributing factors to the healing process and sort of people kind of moving on, is the fact that, you know, the level of productivity is increasing with the economy. And so people are more engaged with activities, and they're not so focused on the past. But also that was one of the contributing factors to, I guess, the genocide, is the lack of productivity, illiteracy. So people were easily manipulated and brainwashed into taking part in such crimes.
Right. This is someone was saying that, yes, in the U.S. it was something similar with Willie Lynch and all the indoctrinations, and that we do know that it was outsiders that actually instigated the entire situation there, which recently, well, not so recent now, but it came out not long ago, and apologies were given and everything for the part that other nations played and having that done. And it's just so crazy how when you have the influences of the West in your country, I mean, things can happen all the time, but most of our countries in Africa, or a lot of the issues in our countries here on the continent, when you do the research, you find out that it's outside influences that are behind the wars, the civil wars and everything in the countries. And it's literally to keep our people separate, whether it's tribes or whatever. It's literally to keep our people separate, because when we unite as one people, they know that we're a powerhouse and they can't bring us down. They can't defeat us, you know,
we just unite.
If we are united. So that has always been a ploy that they have used, no matter where our people have been, African people, to keep us down. If they can keep us separated, then they can always oppress us. So that's wonderful to hear.
I think the thing that has been consistent is obviously psychological brainwash, and also, you know, that whole methodology of divide and conquer, which tends to work every time. And sometimes I'm so surprised, because even today it's used as a weapon against us. And we continue to just fall into the trap, you know. Obviously, a lot of us are waking up now, but still, it's a consistent problem. We're easily brainwashed, manipulated, and we're so easily divided.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
So I know it's getting late and you got little ones, got to get ready for tomorrow, get yourself ready. But I'm just going to take a couple more questions here. Anthony Clemson asked, Lady Visionary, as a business owner, what are some challenges that you have faced or witnessed to get a business going successfully in Rwanda?
I think, so depending on the type, some businesses you can register and within 24 hours, you know, you get, I mean, all businesses you can register and within 24 hours, get your certificate. But depending on the type of business that you're doing, you may need additional requirements, right? And you have to apply for those you have to go through the process locally to be able to get license, for example, to operate. And sometimes when you're like myself, who is like my projects are remote, the processes can be even a lot slower because I don't know, I really don't know why, but the processes can be very, 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 very slow. Even recently, my tweet went viral. I tweeted and the tweet went viral because I am investing remote, and I just expected things to have moved along a little bit quicker than it has. So I did disseminate a tweet on Twitter, and that got to the chief of Rwanda Development Board. I did also tweet the government, and also within like about 3-4 days of that tweet, I got called into a government meeting, and it was like, okay, Lady Vision. Okay, they didn't say Lady Visionary, but those of you guys who know my name, Kerry-Ann Masozera. So they were like, oh, you know, we're in this boardroom because there was a tweet that was sent out by this lady here, and I was like, you know, so you know, what was really interesting is that, you know, they really listened to my problems, and not just my problems, but my concerns about the wider population. And there were concerns that I had about development of roads and infrastructure in Rwanda, in a specific area where I'm working. Rwanda, the government officials really just listened to what I was saying, and they sat down and sort of looked at how they could possibly address my concerns, how they could bring in electricity, how they could fix the roads, how they could bring in water that would benefit remote people that are most disadvantaged. And what was really interesting is that they also allocated dates by which they would achieve the things that they said they would. And people were being held accountable and responsible for things. And it was, you know, I was a little bit nervous, but I knew that I had to go in and represent a larger goal. So it was really something. And it was a very positive outcome. Rwanda showed me that they can really listen and also deliver. And even since that meeting, there has been follow-up and things happening on the ground towards achieving those things I had mentioned about my concerns, which is going to impact a lot of people's lives.
Right. Wow, that's awesome. And that goes to show you how you don't always have to work in a certain field for 20, 30 years to be able to give advice or something pertaining to a certain topic or something going on in the community, because where we come from, we come from very developed countries, you know, and so it's simple little things that we look at it and say, you know, we see them do this all the time from where we're from. If you guys just do A, B, and C, then this can be achieved. It's literally just the way that we've grown up and the Western nations, it has exposed us to so much. You know, if we, a lot of times we can downplay our gifts and talents, and we think that, oh, just because maybe I don't have a degree in this, that I don't know anything, but we have a plethora of knowledge just by the way we grew up. So like you're saying, you're there, you're seeing how things are in the community, and you're saying, hey, if you guys just do this, you know, A, B, and C can happen. It's not rocket science.
Right.
But not that you're saying.
Yeah. Some like here in Rwanda.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I can see that Rwanda is doing a lot. They are really doing a lot. And even my concerns, they were things that they were working on in the background, but they recognized that the process wasn't going fast enough. So me coming in and sort of voicing my concerns, it was just a way of kind of like, you know, quickening the process that they had already started. So I guess also coming back to the question, what are some of the business challenges? You know, sometimes it can be quite difficult to find the people with the right skill set. So you have to, you know, be willing to provide training, especially with the hospitality industry, which I'm now in with my hotel business. Hospitality business is very new to Rwanda. So that's been also a bit challenging, to finding people with the right skill set. You have to really train, or find those programs where you can train up your staff to be able to deliver, because obviously service, if you're not giving a good service, then people are not going to want to come to your business or spend their money in your establishment. And then language as well being a big barrier. Kinyarwanda is quite a difficult language. I've been struggling to learn it, but you know, slowly I've been trying. But also you'll find a lot of Rwandans that don't speak English or are not confident speakers in English. And that does set as a barrier, because I think it was like 10 years where they transitioned from French to English. It wasn't a smooth transition. So people do struggle with the language, and that is a barrier with regards to business and business development and progress. Okay. But there are ways around it. So you just have to be willing as well to put in that extra bit for your business to be successful.
Gotcha. So this will be our last question, and then we'll let you get ready for your day tomorrow. One of our viewers is asking, so there's a rumor, I heard about this, but I didn't know if it was true or not as well. Is it true that the president there has kicked out all religious organizations like churches and stuff, or is that just a rumor?
No, that's not true. That's not true. Basically, a couple years back, what they did do was shut down, I believe, a lot of NGOs, because you know, people are coming and just fabricating things and saying, oh, you know, they're helping poor Africans, but you know, that's really not the case. So he did shut down quite a lot of organizations, charitable organizations.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, that for all of you guys who were concerned about that, you know, it still exists there in Rwanda.
Wait, did it freeze? Are you still with us?
Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Can you hear us? Well,
right now, I'm back. Can you hear me? Okay.
There you are.
Yes. So yeah, there were a lot of organizations that were closed down, but I don't know of the president actually kicking out church. No, that's not right.
Y'all bear with us, a little technical difficulty. He said, in order to be a priest, you need a theology degree. Not any and everybody can open up a church. Okay.
Well, I'll just say all of this is news to me. So,
I saw it on Facebook Live for the Teus thing.
Mhm.
That's where I saw that.
Okay. Well, looks like we lost her there. Maybe she'll chime back in. Here she is now.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Perfect. So no, the president hasn't kicked out churches in Rwanda because there's still churches operating here every day of the week.
Okay.
It was just some not-for-profit organizations that were posing to be of benefit, but actually were here for their own interests or things like that. So, you know, he's protecting the people.
Gotcha. I understand.
So, Lady Visionary, we want to thank you again for taking time away from the little ones to spend some time with us over here. And for those of you who want to check out her, I call it a private island resort. Down in the description box of this video is a link. Please go there, click it, check it out. If you are planning to go to Rwanda, stay there. Trust me. We were privileged to see a video of the place before she released it to anybody else. Yeah. And it is amazing. It's beautiful. It looks over a beautiful lake. You got the mountains in the background. It is beautiful. Also, if you guys want to donate to the things that she's doing, there's a link also. There's a GoFundMe in there for the library. There is a link also for the water project. Please, let's support each other. Let's come together and support each other.
Yes. So this is something that we want to do more often. If it's anybody who's on the ground and you have projects that you're doing, if you need funding, for your ideas, if you need people to run your ideas by, we want to talk to you. We want to be able to connect you with any people who want to sponsor you, want to support you, want to invest in your project. And if we have people in our community who are investors, we encourage you to start investing in the projects going on here on the continent, because this is where we are. This is our home, and our home needs to be built. And so we have to begin to support each other. As you guys heard earlier, she doesn't get a lot of support from the diaspora. And that seems to be the story throughout the continent, but we have to start supporting each other if we're going to grow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Most definitely.
Support our sister here in the projects that she's doing, great things she's doing in Rwanda. And if you have a project, or if you are an investor, reach out to us, because we want to connect you with other diaspora and on the continent who are building here on the ground.
Yes. And also, her email is in the description. You can email her. So you guys heard right now at the hotel, she's having to welcome everybody in. So that means she needs somebody who has general manager background. So look, send her some resumes and say, hey, I got experience. Y'all want to come to the continent? There's a possible job for you right there. Send her your resume.
There we are. So, as you're saying, we do need to support each other more. Yes, I'm looking for someone with, a bit more experience than me that can, teach us here on the ground. So, just coming and offering those skills and, having a job there would be very beneficial on both parts. And, you spoke about the projects that I'm doing. One of the projects that I really want to highlight because is the first Black library in Rwanda. We were supposed to launch on the 6th, but things didn't work out. So we're now launching on the 27th of January, which is my late mum's birthday. This is something also I'm opening in her honor, because she's always been someone who wants to help young people with a start in their future. And so I believe that even though the library is not just for young people, because it's for children, young people, and adults, it will be really giving people a start by learning more about history, because a lot of Rwandans, they know their own history, so the genocide history and so on. So we want to extend it beyond that, broadening their horizon, broadening their knowledge in terms of African history, and then having books that are written by Black authors, books that are representative, so books that you can see people that look like you, and that does play a tremendous part in building our leaders for the future. So that's a project that I'm really pushing. We do currently need a bit more support, whether it's books or just making a donation online through our GoFundMe link. It would be really very much appreciated. And on my channel, I do have an update on how the library is coming together from the beginning, when we acquired the building, what it looks like, and we're just documenting the whole thing all the way up until the launch. So you can go and check it out and find out more information, and also support in any way you can. Or if you're coming to Rwanda, you can also bring a couple of books in your suitcase, even if it's 5 books or 10 books. We would really appreciate it very, very much.
Not a problem. Now, I will tell you this. My wife, she has a degree in residential design and interior design. So if you have any questions you want to run by her, or if somebody gives you a plan and you're like, I don't really know, you want her to take a look at it, contact us.
Oh wow, thank you so much. Now I know I'm gonna harass her now.
I'd be happy to, look at some things. But that's awesome. You guys support our sister here.
Yes.
Support. And I hope you guys got a lot of great information. I know I got some great information about Rwanda, just one of the many countries that we're highlighting. And there are diaspora that are already there on the ground. It's one of the easier countries to repatriate to. So, like we say, pray, get direction, and if that's where you're going, come up with your plan and exit. Make your exit.
All right, so Lady Visionary, we're gonna put you in the background here for a moment. Thank you so much.
I just also, before you put me in the background, I just want to say thank you to you both. What you're doing is something amazing that I think will be beneficial for a lot of us. So keep doing what you're doing, and thank you so much for the opportunity that you've given me to be on your channel and showcase what I'm doing here in Rwanda. So thank you very, very much, and we'll connect again very, very soon.
Yes, our pleasure.
Thank you. All right, family. So that's Rwanda. So listen, next Sunday, we would like to do a build with our subscribers to talk about how can we, as a diaspora, unite to make a difference, to make our voices heard here on the continent. How can we come together and just build together? So if you would like to be a part of that, please email us at thesteppingstonestohome@gmail.com.
Yes, we'd love to have you on. This is something that we want to do. We want to talk to our brothers and sisters, because I'm gonna be honest, we're trying to find people who are serious about building on the continent, people who are going to be willing to put in that time, the work, and the prayers to make sure that we're going in the right direction. So it's something that is needed because our people are so divided. We need to pray for unity, and let's build.
Yeah. All right, family. We love y'all. Thank y'all again for taking your time out to talk to us tonight and hear what our dear sister, Lady Visionary, had to say. Please, please, please support her. Go to her channel, Lady Visionary. Like, subscribe, comment on her videos, share them with everybody. Do the same for us. We love y'all, and y'all have a good night.